gentlemen, let's welcome our first speaker for today, Managing Director, Mondelez India Foods Limited, Mr. Chandramouli Venkatesan. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll start by first thanking Nakul and Ambi for calling me here. Yeah, I think Ambi has been particularly a persistent person over the last couple of years, and I appreciate your persistence. And I've always been wanting to do it, but I think your persistence did help me come here. And the reason I've been wanting to do it is, as many of you know me, I've been in the Indian marketing circuit and the Bombay marketing circuit particularly for over 2 decades. And a lot of my life has been with advertising agencies and advertising professionals. And it's been what I consider a nice part of my life. To have been involved in marketing, to have been involved with the advertising professionals. A lot of what I have achieved is thanks to many of my friends sitting here, people who have helped me understand business, helped me bring some of my ideas to the consumer, helped me learn and grow. So I will firstly want to thank a lot of my friends out here who have been a part of my life, who have been a part of my professional life, and thank you, folks. I think the other part of it for me is really about saying that, Ambi and Nakul have given us a rather easy topic, which is 3 things that agencies need to do to become better. And in life, it's always easy to say what somebody else has to do to become better, right? I mean, that's the easiest thing in the world. Give me a topic on how you have to become better, and I will talk for a couple of days. But I do genuinely believe that in my experience of having been a partner in this industry, it's not about one partner, it's about both, and it's a partnership. So while I will stay with the topic of saying what agencies need to do to become better at this game of partnership, it is about the game of partnership, yeah. And I do hope equally someday to be able to share my thoughts on what clients need to do to become better at partnership, and equally hear from my agency friends on what clients need to do to become better at partnership. So let's start with saying that, before we even get to the topic of what agencies need to do better, a little bit about partnerships and what makes great partnerships, what makes compelling partnerships. And that's really what we are about. We create magic when we have great partnerships. Yeah. And knowing that I'm in Goa Fest, and some of my friends know that I have a very dry presenting style. I'm a content person, I'm not flamboyant. But knowing I'm in Goa Fest, some of my young brand managers said, you can't land up there and do a PowerPoint which has got only text. You got to put some photographs, some clips, and so on and so forth. So some of them really helped me. And really, if you're talking of partnership, we spent some time to kind of think about a very iconic partnership. And one of my all-time favorite partnerships is the Jay Viru partnership of Sholay. It's really truly a special partnership. And if you just, and it's something which, one of the beauties of this does seem ageless. I found a lot of partnerships. Some of them I was not sure Ambi will know because they're too young. Some of this were too old, and I was not sure the youngsters sitting in the back will know. But it felt like this partnership is truly ageless in the way it has operated. And interesting part of this partnership, and why I think it's a good analogy for how we think about client agency, is they are 2 very contrasting individuals, 2 very, very contrasting characters. And the nature of a client agency partnership for me is about 2 different entities coming together to create magic. It's not 2 similar entities coming together to create magic. And some of the differences, one of them was a very romantic young man who was very much obsessed in chasing the prettier things. And the other one, of course, was a very angry young man who seemed to have no time for the pleasures of life other than getting the job done. One of them was quite a dramatic person prone to dramatizing, prone to like exaggerated kind of personification. And the other one was very no nonsense in the way they come across. And I'm sure you can see some of the similarities of how this is playing out in an agency-client partnership. You know, the interesting thing for me of that partnership is it is two very different people. Yeah, two very different styles at play. But yet, put together, they were very brave. And one of the characteristics we seek as a joint unit of agency and client is that we are brave, right? We are very loyal to each other, right? And very united, right? It's almost an iconic partnership where they both knew that if one was going to face the bullet there, the other was facing the bullet there, right? And they didn't need to communicate with each other to be able to do it. So it's two different personalities who created an iconic partnership. Yeah. And if I were to kind of get to saying that, what are some of the underlying factors of creating fantastic partnerships? I think to me the starting point is complementary strengths. I mean, there is no partnership where people don't bring different strengths to the table. If they bring the same strengths, then there is overlap. There's not a partnership. Yeah. So clearly, the game of a client agency is a partnership because they bring complementary strengths. They bring different strengths to the table, right? And that's the starting point of a partnership is complementary strengths. But complementary strengths alone is not enough. Yeah. I mean, all of us have been clients, all of you have been agencies. We have not necessarily formed best partnerships with every agency. You have not necessarily formed best partnerships with every client, right? Even though you bring complementary strengths out there. Because there are a set of other things which take those complementary strengths and convert it to a great partnership. And I think there are three factors for me which take those complementary strengths and convert it to a great partnership. The first is really to say that do both the entities have shared purpose and passion for that shared purpose? Yeah. So is there a shared purpose and is there a passion for that shared purpose? The second part of it, and this is a very important part of it, is the softer side of it, is what I call trust and friendship. Is there trust between the two partners? And is there actually some amount of friendship between the two partners? Yeah. Or is it just a very formal, official kind of equation, right? And I do believe that this is an extraordinary lubricant to those complementary strengths getting converted to magic is trust and friendship. And having said that, this trust and friendship is not about goody-goody stuff, right? It's trust and friendship which allows them to challenge each other continuously to get better. If the purpose of friendship is to kind of, accept nonsense and look the other way, I mean, we are not getting there, right? A lot of the purpose of the trust and friendship is also about challenging each other and trying to get better every day. So these kind of feel like the four ingredients of great partnerships, yeah, and the four ingredients that clients and agencies need to work together continuously to create. Yeah. So that's, I think, the starting point for me. Now I do get into the topic of saying, and hence, a lot of it for me is the two-way game, right? It is very much about saying that are we putting in enough to create that partnership? Yeah. Or are we just letting it happen? Right? And I do believe that important relationships like this, we need to put in a lot to create those partnerships. It's a two-way street. Both have to make the effort to put in to create that partnership. Having said that, now let me get to saying that, what is it in this context that agencies can put in to improve these partnerships. So hence, my interpretation of the topic of three things agencies can do to become better is not about how you can do better advertising, better creativity, better filmmaking, etc., etc. I'm going to spend all my focus on saying what is it that agencies can do from your side to improve this partnership. Yeah, and I would keep repeating all the time to say that it's not only a problem, it's everybody's problem, and certainly the client's problem. But for now, I'll take the license that Ambi and Nakul have given me and say what is it that agencies have to do towards this partnership. And in the spirit of that, I might say some things which might make you feel uncomfortable. Please do receive it in the spirit of, how it's supposed to come. So the first part of it from an agency's lens for me on what you can do, what you can put into this partnership, what you can do to become better is generating trust. Yeah. I think it's a very high-end word. It's a word which we assume is always there, which we assume is natural. But I do believe it takes a degree of doing. Yeah. And I do want to talk about what is it that you can do to improve the trust. But before I kind of get there, I want to establish the business case for you to do this. To say what is in it for an agency to try and improve the trust. I think there are two big aspects on why you should do it. Firstly, I think once there is trust, there is very easy, open, and honest communication. I found that in the equations where I have a trust, what takes sometimes 3 meetings to say, we say in 30 seconds, right? I mean, and both people can get to the nub of the issue damn fast. It's open, easy, honest conversations when there is trust. Otherwise, you're dancing around, trying to be nice, getting to the message, not getting to the message, so on and so forth. So really, the first business case for you is it will enable open, honest communication, which will make your lives easier. You won't need to do 3 meetings for what you can solve through 1 phone call, right? The second one, and which is really the even more important one for me, and agencies often thrive by saying, I've done cutting edge work. I've been brave. I've taken risk. I've done great stuff. Now, to me, trust is that equation which allows for some of those brave calls to be taken, for some of those difficult calls to be taken. Because often, brave work is about trusting somebody and saying, I'm risking my performance, my career, my money, and my business with somebody else's judgment. Right? That's the hard truth of that. Yeah? So, trust is actually what enables that brave decision making that you so often want. You often want your clients to have brave decision making. But to get to that brave decision making, you have to invest in getting that trust. Yeah, and that's something which I think is the business case for you, to be able to get to that trust. And I mean, in a couple of our examples, I want to give you on where we have taken brave calls because we have trusted, right? And most of you know the famous Cadbury Gorilla piece of advertising which was done in the UK maybe 7-8 years back. But there's a little bit of backstory to it. Just before this came on, we had a massive quality incident in the UK where we were forced to recall some millions of bars. So we were actually in a very, very difficult situation in the marketplace, right? And then came this piece of advertising which was created, which to the company at that time looked like shit. We are coming out of a massive quality issue and we would have expected some amount of reassurance to consumers, some factual storytelling, etc. And all we have is a gorilla playing drums. I mean, most of you have seen the creative side of it. I'm giving you the business context of it, of how much risk it took at that point of time. And it was because there was trust. And it was because Phil Rumbold had implicit trust. Phil Rumbold was the marketing head of UK at that time. Had trust in the agency and in the work they had done, that this thing went all the way up to the global CEO. The global CEO was not convinced that this is the right thing to do at that time. And Phil Rumbold staked his career at that time and said, I'm backing the agency, let's go. Now that came because Phil trusted the work that agency has done. That was a brave call which it took. I mean, another great international example is the Oreo Gay Pride, for example. Again, a highly controversial area. But a lot of trust allows these decisions to be taken at rapid speed, right? To say, I back you. A couple of local examples, and Cadbury Dairy Milk Silk, and most of you have seen the Silk advertising over 6-7 years, it hasn't changed. But I must tell you, the first time I saw it, it was about the messiest way one can eat chocolate. You know, the first time I saw it, and say, here is somebody who's just messing up their damn face with chocolate. It looked like the ghastliest thing we can do with something like chocolate. I mean, it feels the absolute natural thing to do today, right? But the first time we saw it, it was challenging and shocking. And we didn't expect that output from the script we had visualized. So we had a script which was about, enjoying your chocolate, and then we got with a messed up face. But again, trust. That's where, and in hindsight, it looks so easy. There was a lot of pangs in the stomach for a lot of us at that time. But we then finally said, let's go. Yeah? We will go with this idea. Let's go. Worst case, it's the Cadbury brand. We can make one mistake. We'll find a way of coming it back. Yeah? And I mean, I'm so proud of this stuff because what Silk has achieved, I do believe is Silk is possibly the best FMCG premium launch ever. Yeah? And what it has achieved in the last 5 years is just spectacular. I mean, the other example from India I want to give you is the Bonvita Taiyari Jeet Ki. And again, this was a category where, if one were to use the Three Idiots language, a lot of the advertising was always about the alpha, beta, gamma, right? So you have to say, I've got iron, potassium, calcium, this, that, so on and so forth, and you add it to the milk and your kids will become sportsmen and champion and so on and so forth. And here was a proposition change that we went to where we said we are not going to put factual evidence on the table. We're not going to put claims on the table. We're going to be about smart parenting. We're not going to be about the beverage. We're going to stand for certain kind of parenting. Yeah. Again, after 3 years, looks simplistic, but it was a very convoluted conversation. To say, can we make such a drastic change of a category which is so factual and so content and so data-driven, to say we will stand for progressive parenting. But then we again could make such calls based on trust. So I do hope I've established in your minds that trust is important for you because trust is what gets clients to make the brave calls that you want them to make. Yeah, it's not a fancy thing out there. And I've never made a brave call with somebody I've not trusted. Right? Now, the second concept I want to land with you is that you have to earn trust. Again, a lot of people say, trust me. Often I'm tempted to ask back to say, what have you done to earn that trust? Yeah? You don't start with saying, I have trust. You start with saying, I have to earn trust. Right? And I think there are 3 kind of thoughts I want to leave you with on how you can earn trust. Yeah. The first aspects of earning trust is to say that all the decision making that you do on the brands, you do keeping the client's interest in the mind. Yeah. So here you're trying to sell a script. If you're selling that script because if you genuinely believe it is in the best interest of the client and the brand, over time, you'll earn trust. But if you're selling that script because you think it is good for you and it might get you a promotion in your agency, over time it can be found out. If you're selling that script because you're saying this is the kind of work I enjoy doing, and I often struggle with this concept of agencies sometimes pushing work because that's the work they enjoy doing. Now, what work an agency enjoys doing is irrelevant. The question is, does it work for the brand or does it not work for the brand? Is it doing the task or is it not doing the task? So if your only criteria of decision making is what's in the client's interest, what's in the brand's interest, you will earn trust. The moment you have criteria of decision making, which is like what is good for me as an individual, what is it that I enjoy doing, you will find that those are eroders of trust. Yeah. So that's, I think, the first piece I'll leave on the table for you. The second one of earning trust is about being commercially responsible. Yeah. And whichever way we cut it, it's an industry where there's a little bit of black box. I can still never understand why some film costs 1.5 crores and why some costs 50 lakhs and why something happens this way and why something happens the other way. Right? And often a lot of trust is lost in some of this black box. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure that we can demystify the black box 100%, and I'm sure there'll be effort in that direction. But you can demystify and you can earn trust if you act in a very responsible way all the time. Yeah. And that's a great leverage to earning the trust. And third, of course, goes without saying that there's no compromise on integrity. Yeah. So that's, I think, the start point for me, folks. The first of the things that agencies can do better in this partnership is on trust. Yeah. And the business case for me on trust is that's what gets you the license to do the kind of work, the brave work that you want to do. And to earn that trust, you have to do decision making which is always in client's interest. And you have to be commercially responsible. And you have to have integrity. Yeah. So that's, I think, the first of the headlines I want to share with. The second thing that agencies can do better in this partnership is talent. Yeah. And it's a bit of a sensitive topic, but in the spirit of going there, I must go there. Yeah. Again, let me give you the business case of talent. Yeah. And why is agency talent so important for a client like us, for any client? I mean, if you take my P&L, ANC is one of my biggest headings, right? I mean, we spend 700 crores a year on ANC. Now, if I was spending 700 crores within my business, if I was putting up a factory of 700 crores, I would have an army of the best engineers, the best scientists, the best technicians, the best software, everything. Because it's such a material sum of money that I would have extraordinary amount of talent against it. Yeah. Now, from a client side, it's an extraordinarily high amount of money with a very high impact on the P&L, not just from a cost side, but on the top line, right? And hence, we look for talent. We don't just look for ideas, because ideas is temporary. Talent is permanent source of ideas, right? So talent is something we look for and look for desperately. Yeah. And I mean, I must say, sometimes I do have coffee chats with people to say, how do we win this talent battle in agencies? And I have no ideas, to be honest. I'm happy to have those coffee chats again. But I do think, and the industry titans are sitting out here, I do genuinely believe that one of the most important things that agencies have to do is to win the talent battle stronger. You have to kind of say that we have to disrupt this game. You cannot keep doing the same things. You have to find disruption. A lot of your disruptive energy goes into creating great ideas for brands. I think some of your disruptive energy now needs to go into saying, how do I break the talent model of agencies? How do I change the talent model? How do I simply disrupt this game? And I would push you to really disrupt. And the other thing I would do in pushing you is to say that one of the most important ingredients of that talent model has to be the ability to be brand stewards. Most agencies want to be brand stewards, but they do not have the talent to be brand stewards. Yeah, and it becomes a bit of a frustration for them. But where there is brand talent, you will find that the agency naturally has brand stewardship. Yeah, and this is about quality of talent and longevity of talent. Just quality of talent alone doesn't get you brand stewardship. It's also about longevity of talent. I mean, again, from our example, one of the things I'm most proud of in our company is Cadbury Dairy Milk, and not for the quality of work it does, and I mean, it does spectacular work. But what I'm more proud of is I have seen the showreel of Cadbury Dairy Milk, every single piece of advertising it has ever done. And I can tell you there is no second showreel in India which doesn't have a blunder in it. But if you see the Cadbury Dairy Milk showreel, you will classify work into two levels, good and great. But in 50 years, you will not say there is one thing which is bad. There is no second brand in India which has done 50 years of advertising and not done one bad stuff. But in 50 years of advertising, Dairy Milk hasn't produced a bad piece of work. It has done mid-road, good. And that's because of brand stewardship. Failure of brand stewardship is what makes stuff go bad. Ideas can create great work, but lack of brand stewardship destroys. So I think the talent battle of agencies has to be fought both in a disruptive way and with the objective of brand stewardship. The third piece, and this is a complex one, the third piece I would ask agencies to get better is processes. And I know processes is a dreaded word in the agency world, right? I mean, it is as antithetical of creativity as anything else. And sitting as a client, sometimes process feels like you give a brief, somebody is doing nothing for a long time, then you got to create some panic, then people start scrambling, and then we meet the deadline. That's how the process feels at times. I think there is a mistaken notion. I'm going to exceed by possibly 3-4 minutes. My apologies, the clock is ticking. I think there is a mistaken notion that process is a barrier to creativity. And I think as agencies and as clients, we have to break that mistaken notion. Process is an enabler to creativity. Process is an enabler to better work-life balance for those who are creative. Right? And a lot of other things. And I mean, to me, no greater example of creativity which is a process than Disneyland. I mean, many of you would have gone there. I've gone there along with my daughter when she was young. And it was one of the most magical experiences she ever had. It was one of the most creative things that was happening, some of those shows. And yet there is extraordinary process behind it. Extraordinary process behind what seems like a very creative, natural human thing which is happening there. Right? And one of the urgencies of processes is also the ecosystem and the IMCs that's coming up. To say what started as Disneyland is now Disney movies, Disney franchising, Disney toys, Disney music, Disney TV, right? Now, if you don't have processes and you tend to be creative, you finally do not integrate all these touch points in a very effective way, right? It's no longer about being creative in one place. It's about integrating that creativity in every touch point, right? So I do think that we have to take away this notion that process is a barrier to creativity. The other example I searched and found was a movie like Gravity, and I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. But what comes out as an extraordinarily disruptive breakthrough piece of work? Virtually, they were running CPM and PERT charts on Microsoft software on the back. They were running project management software for these movies which we used to put up plants, which people used to make bridges. That's the kind of process that was sitting behind what is one of the great creative outputs we have seen. Right? So I think we have to debunk this notion that process is a barrier to creativity. And I think the honest reality of today's situation and the need for process has grown even more is because what was about 10 years back, most agency client equations was about one-to-one engagement. Today it's a one-to-many engagement on all sides of the equation, right? A lot of global brands have come into play, and that just requires processes. And just the multi-touch point IMC nature of work that we need to do, which involves many agencies, many touch points, requires processes. Yeah? So I would really urge you folks to think about process. And there are 3 processes I want you to think about. The first process is the process of strategic alignment. And I'm carefully using the word alignment, and not the word strategic planning, right? Because strategic planning does tend to happen often. But strategic alignment doesn't happen. And it is not even, I'm not even talking of strategic alignment between client and agency. It is strategic alignment within the agency of saying the work that the strategic planner has done, has the creative person agreed to it. Right? The first of the processes you have to invest in is to say you as an agency and all the people who are involved in the brand are actually aligned and are not using their own spheres of work to do what they want to do. Right? And I think that's the first of the processes that agencies need to really work on. The second of the processes is project management capability. You folks are doing projects on a daily basis. I mean, when we do a project, the starting point is a network. Starting point is a critical path. Understanding what's on critical path. What's the constraint? Who's going to solve the constraint? What is the governance mechanism? And none of this is a barrier to a creativity. None of this is. I can assure you that. If you bring project management capabilities, you will find that you do work more effectively. You work more efficiently. And most importantly, you'll solve one of what I think is a fundamental talent problem, which is poor working hours. Yeah? So I really push you guys to think about project management. And the third process to invest in is team management. And within these two things I would say, one is people change and onboarding. And often I find that when people change happens, it almost becomes the client's responsibility to get the new person back to where the team was, right? How can we really add, firstly plan people changes better, but also really build much more robust onboarding processes. And the second process is evaluation. How do you evaluate your people? Who do you decide to promote? Who do you decide to pay more? And is that evaluation criteria that you have, is it actually linked to the piece one that I said on trust? To say it is based on client's interest. I find agency people, as I said, make decision on 3 criteria. It's good for the brand, it's good for me, and I enjoy doing it. If you want your people to make decisions consistently on saying it is good for the brand, then your evaluation criteria on who you promote and who you make your stars has to be based on saying it is people who made decisions on criteria 1, saying it's good for the brand, and not on criteria 2 and 3, which is it's good for me and it's stuff I'd enjoy doing. And I think these are processes which I think can fundamentally change the effectiveness of an agency in today's marketplace. So those are the 3 things. As I said, I'm not a believer in saying that only you need to get better. I do believe that we need to get better all the time. It's a continuous game. It's a 2-way game. And I'm sure over the evening today, some of you should walk up to me and give me some feedback on what you think the clients can do better. But the beauty of it, at the end of the day, we are in this game. We are in this partnership because we create magic together when we get the partnership right. Yeah? And great partnerships always deliver outstanding results. And definitely Jay Veru's partnership did deliver outstanding results.